Okay, so now it's recording, and so the knowledge base 3.0. So the reason I say 3.0, it's actually maybe 4.0 or 5.0, is I've been here about 2.5 years, and when I came, we had Confluence on-premise. For that, that's my 1.0. I know before that we had something else, but for me anyway, that was sort of the 1.0. It was probably the best version of the knowledge base that existed, but was still I didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of Confluence for a knowledge base. Like they're great for organizing information and collaborating internally, but I don't think it does a super job at being a knowledge base. Um, and so what happened was last year, Atlassian said, everybody that's on-prem, we don't really want to sell on-prem anymore. We want everyone to be hosted. We had a very short deadline, at least as far as like IT letting me know and realizing what deadline I had. I didn't really have the time to make like the best choice, but moving to cloud was an easy choice because we were able to simply migrate all the stuff and kind of keep it more or less the same, but it was more or less equally not super. So ever since we finished that migration about October-ish, I've been looking for a better solution because I want a long-term solution that could be used for many years and would be um, I guess really like a best solution. So I looked at a whole bunch of KBs systems. I looked at free ones. I looked at paid ones. I was willing to use anything as long as it was like reliable and had a good track record, had APIs that I could use. Um, so we will talk about the new knowledge base. And like I said, feel free to use the chat or click the little raise hand thing if you have a question. I'll look for it. But so the new knowledge base, right? I had been talking about it for a little bit now. I had it live as bbb.filewave. I put something in, so if you happen to go to BBB, even to a full link that was on BBB, it'll take you to KB. So any links I've been sharing the past couple of months, they will work. Um, as well, you'll notice that generally it says log in. Now, when we were on-prem with Confluence, you could log in. One of the reasons we took away login when we went to cloud is because the price difference between letting folks log in and not was to like 10x. It was like we were paying about $5,000 a year for Confluence Cloud until this moment, with all the little add-ons that you need, and we were going to have to pay about $45,000 to have customers able to log in. And to me, that doesn't feel like a good way to spend. You guys pay for licenses. We should be responsible with that money, and it simply didn't make sense. Plus, that wasn't a great knowledge base system, in my opinion. So, what we're using here, if anyone's curious, I actually put links to all the tools that I use at the bottom because you might be building a knowledge base and wonder, well, what do they use? So, we're using BookStackApp. BookStackApp is, I believe, exactly 8 years old. Um, the developer of it, he actually made this his full-time job I don't think it was entirely 8 years ago, but sometime in the past 8 years, he made it his full-time like job, and he really focuses on not being led by money, I'd say. So I could ask for something. He's not going to do it unless it makes sense for his vision of what this is, and I agree with his vision of what a KB should be. Um, I agree with the organization where there's this concept of shelves and books and chapters and pages. Like it's just like a library. It makes sense to me. Um, it has integration to diagrams.net, so we can put diagrams in. Uh, it's localized in a bunch of languages, so you can see at least the interface in a bunch of languages. And when he says in many more, I tested out Hebrew just because I can read Hebrew, so it worked great. Um, so that's what we're using. And Bookstack is essentially free. It's free if you don't want to pay for support, but I believe in supporting an author because I need him to keep producing this, and it's the responsible thing to do. So we are paying for a support contract, but The support contracts here, there's like a $500 a year option, and there's like a $4,000 option, I believe. Um, it's either way. It was our total costs are less than Confluence when I when I did it all. So you can look at his support options if you were to use it and think about what fits your organization. But we're paying for support. The author's also active on Discord. I can ask him a question. Even without support, he will help you. He just believes in supporting his product. He will help you on a weekend, uh, anytime. Um, and they do have a good API. I've made various tools that can search the knowledge base for articles that have certain words if I want to replace them. Um, and yeah, so it is BookStack, and that is what we're running. We didn't theme it too much. We changed the font to be like our standard font. We changed, the logo. We integrated it with KeyCloak, which is our single sign-on system. So if you are listed as a support contact or what we call a limited support contact, so limited can't open support tickets, but can log into the Foundry, can log into knowledge base. So when you go to log in, you're going to get this, which is a plus because it tells you, hey, if you can't log in, customer experience can help you. So I could log in and now I'm authenticated. It knows that I am an employee, so I have access to a couple of extra things. Um, as a customer, two reasons you might log in. One is that we might have a page or a book that is protected and only customers can see it. Right now, we didn't do that. We debated doing that with downloads, but in the end, we decided that downloads will stay open, that you can just get to it without authenticating. The copy that you download has 5 licenses of mobile, 5 for computers, and I think 5 for Chromebooks. It's good if somebody wants to mess around and get an introduction to FileWave. So so there's that. You'll also notice that there's a landing page. When you go to kb.filewave, you'll always land here. And if you get tired of this and you'd rather land on the shelves page, just bookmark the shelves page. And this employees only would be an example of, the not so secret things that you'll see, just internal documentation drafts and archived articles. But, so shelves are really the thing. This is a library. It's got shelves that have books, that have chapters and pages. So you'll get to these, but I'm really not a fan of digging for what I want, right? Like I kind of know what I want, but I shouldn't have to dig. Although if you do dig, we have taken great steps to make sure everything is organized much better than the old KB. So we basically thought about all the ways you could be confused about something in the old KB and tried to make it better here. There's also, we're in the shelf called Apple. Shelves have books. The quick start guides, you'll notice, and TeamViewer exist in the Windows area, in the Google area, because a book can live in multiple shelves. So when you're looking at the TeamViewer book, it's the same book that you see everywhere else. So don't be confused that it's like some other copy. It's the same exact copy. You can see details. Actually, I should do this more like a customer. Let's see. So because it's going to be confusing if you see things that you can't actually see. So I'm going to log in. So this will be better, right? This will look more like what you see. So when I go to shelves and I go to Apple, you can see there's like a little bit less detail on the right, but you'll see, created and updated. You'll be able to tell when things were updated. Um, and if I go back to TeamViewer for a second, so this is a book, so it has a description. It has pages. So a page is just a KB article, right? You have navigation, so you can get anywhere within that book. Um, when you're in an article, there's within the page, there's navigation, so you can jump around. This one's pretty easy because it's short, but on a longer article, you might be able to see the whole navigation tree there and be able to jump around. If there were file attachments, like we have for Superman. You can see the navigation. but you can also see the file attachments are right there, really easy to get to. Um, it has tags as well. We're trying to get better at tagging things. You can actually search by tags. Um, you saw I just did a simple search here, but if I wanted to view all, there's an even better search. So I can search for various things. I can search for tags. I can search for viewed by me. You know, various things to be able to look for stuff. And this is kind of the old way to search for things, right? So I'm going to go back to TeamViewer, right? And this TeamViewer article that I jumped to, I just want to show you the difference between a chapter and a page. So if I go to the TeamViewer book, prerequisites is a chapter, and all these live within this chapter. I could have put the Mac stuff in the Mac area and the Windows stuff in the Windows area. It didn't feel as good because there's a lot of common articles. So that's why TeamViewer has the different platforms. But otherwise, for most things, if you're looking for an Apple thing, you want to come here. And the question, oh, yes, yes, yes. So the question Sean has about getting to things, anyone can get to any page. Right now, we have not locked down any pages. And one of the reasons that we would lock down the downloads page was be to gate that so that sales can give somebody a good experience. But we thought about, you know, it's kind of good if somebody can tinker. They watch the YouTube videos, they see how it works, and they want to try it themselves. I don't know. It's a kind of a balance thing. So when you want to share the TCP ports article, right, it's easy to find because you'll type TCP. Oh, wait, there it was. Oh, yeah, there it is. So it's here, and this link, you can share this long link, but also if you were to click here, when I selected some text, or if I select text really anywhere, you'll see this is my browser doing that, but this is BookStack doing it. And if you copy this link and I paste it, no, that did not actually, oh, if I copy this link and I paste it, you can see that this really is article, it took me to the exact part of that article, but this is really article 68. And these short links would work even if we rename the article. They'll never change. So you can select and you can, this is a link that it's going to copy. There's also a way to copy this bit of text to include it in an article. So you don't probably worry about this button, though you'll probably click it by accident like I do all the time. But when it's set to link and you copy link, then it'll jump right to the place selected. So you can share those links. Anybody can get to anything in the knowledge base that's customer facing. Um, so, and we tried to deal with the fact that things weren't so clear about when do you to go to support, technical support, when do you go to customer success, how do you get access to things. So we have this customer resources area that has community, and it has information about technical support, customer experience. If you go to technical support, it has how to contact technical support. So we tried to put a lot more content here. It should be easy to find, and I'm logged in right now, but even if I wasn't logged in, I could get to all this information. So no protection for the information. Okay, so far we've been clicking around kind of like a normal knowledge base. So I'm going to show you the thing that you might not notice, although I have this little pop-up that appears eventually saying that he can save time searching. So there is a little chat bot. It's running GPT-4. It is pretty good. Right now, this bot is limited to this size, which I feel like is too tiny. And I talked to the company that makes this, and they're going to make it so I can adjust it so that maybe it could expand out to maybe twice as far, or maybe use a percentage of the screen. So as a workaround for myself for demos and things, and because I feel more comfortable, I made this article about the AI assistant, and it's a little bit bigger. And oh, I did not, I did not update it for the new token. So I can copy something on my other screen and I will actually fix it right now. Uh, I will embed, get his chat ID, close. Okay. And I'm logged in as me. And I'm going to go to Shells, community, AI assistant, edit. What's it called? I have to look at what the text is called. It is called cancel. It is embed to website. It is called data ID. Oh, can you? Oh, there. Data. That's strange. Okay. So where is it? Oh, because it was using the URL format. So paste, save. So I didn't know I had that issue because, yeah, now he's fixed. I had changed out the chatbot between us going live, and I never changed the ID. That ID doesn't matter. It's not secret. It's embedded in the code. It basically, you could write something to talk to it outside of the KB, but now I have this page with sort of a bigger search. Okay, so I can ask it things like what's new in this KB. Let's see. I didn't think about whether this would work, but let's see if it works. Oh, you need to log in. Well, that is a. Oh, I know why it says that. So some of this I have to experiment. I actually see the chat logs and I look for things that I've written because originally we were going to make it that you would sign in, but that is not true, and I can make that correct. There's a whole correction system in the thing, but also one of the improvements is that I can do searches like this kind of randomly and then see what it says, and then I know why it says that, and I can go and fix the article, and it would immediately train the bot. Um, let's see. Let's go with a simple one that I know would work. What what platforms can I use TeamViewer? So because it sees the article that has the little grid about what you can do with it, it looks for that data as well. We have references to what version we add things in, so it gets that. It also gives you the source where it got this information. So although my first example didn't play out well, it actually was me doing it to myself because I did have some text in there that would lead it to believe that you have to log in, and I will have to tweak that. But um, so then you click on this, and hey, I'm right on the article. Um, so I could do that, and I have some pre-made things. So what we can do with this chatbot is if we see certain questions that are asked, or we realize, um, I think a good example would be the problems with MDM and Apple, right? We know that there's issues with MDM on the Apple side. Every MDM provider has articles, Adigy, Jump Cloud, Jamf. We all have articles about it, but if you're coming to the KB, you might not know exactly what you're looking for. So I could put a pre-made question like, is there a problem with Apple MDM or something? I can phrase it so I know what the answer will be, and it could just be a button to make it really easy, so that when you bring this up, you'll see it. As well, when you have an answer, you can give it a thumbs up or thumbs down to the collection of answers. So I'm going to thumbs down this just because that'll remind me to fix this. But if you give it feedback, thumbs up or thumbs down, it actually helps it with knowing what's right or wrong overall. And I can remove this good question from the log. So yeah, so I feel like AI is going to make it easier ultimately to find things because you're not quite sure how to phrase it. If you want to look for how to customize text on an iPad wallpaper, right? When you're searching the KB, normally you have to use the same words that we used, right? Because it's a straight word match on the search normally. But with AI, it knows that wallpaper can be desktop, desktop could be background. Like, depending on the whole sentence, it could figure out what you want, and it could be much easier to get to what you want. So I think if you try this, and you can try it in other languages. Um, so if your native language was German or Japanese or Russian, you can type in that, and although the article will be in English, all of the responses, I told the bot to stay in whatever language the person having the chat is using. So it won't flip to English. It'll stay in the language that you use. So we have somebody who speaks Italian, and he tried it out. I have somebody in Japan, and he tried it out in Japanese, and everything worked out really good. So I would say try it out, and maybe that helps us get closer. This is also the KB is localized into different languages. So if you're logged in, you can set the language you want. So if I go to edit profile and I go here, so all you can see is my email and my roles here, but you can see that you could set it to a preferred language. If you're not logged in, it'll auto detect the language, and um, it will set you to whatever language it detects in the browser. So yeah. So and yeah, let's see. Any other questions so far? I think it's straightforward. I just wanted to show but this is kind of faster. It's definitely faster. It's definitely a better layout. We can definitely edit things much easier. And yeah, it's running on, I have it running on Ubuntu in AWS. So it's in Amazon's infrastructure. You can also run it in Docker. I just chose to run it on an Ubuntu system. Uh, I will probably at some point move it to a Debian system because we seem to be leaning towards Debian as a future for things, so I might as well put it on Debian. But it even has a really simple backup and restore, so I can run a backup command, set up a Debian system, run the restore command, and this would be set up on a new system. So really easy backups, really easy setup. Um, for the database, I'm using MariaDB. It's like MySQL. It's an alternative to MySQL, but works basically the same as MySQL. Um, and yeah, I don't know. What else could I show? This might be a quick one, which could be good. Oh, people used to ask when we moved from on-prem to cloud, they didn't like that you couldn't get notifications about changes to things. So I set up on Confluence something with RSS feeds. I don't know how many people used it, but I did the same thing here. So right now, there's this using RSS to stay up to date. And there's basically these two pages that you can subscribe to. I've done this with this little Chrome extension here. It's Feeder, and then I can see what articles have been updated. I made two of them basically. New is when I make a genuinely new article, it goes in the feed. When I update an article, it goes in this feed. Because you might imagine we update articles a lot, so you might only want to know about what's new. Where this is going to take this a step further is that the author is adding to the next release a whole notification system. So you should, in the next maybe 2 to 3 months, when he has his next release, he releases pretty frequently. Um, you should have a notification system so that when an article updates, maybe you could get an email about it. I haven't looked yet at what he started doing, but I saw him checking it into GitHub. That's the other nice thing about being open. It's really easy to know what's going on. Um, but also, another thing for the notification system is when you see a page, like let's say Swift Dialogue. So you see a page like Swift Dialogue, and there's something in here that you know that could be better, right? You have some improvement that you want to contribute. Um, there is now a comment system. This part requires login because obviously it would be covered with spam if not. Um, you can add a comment. We can do replies. When I'm editing the article, I can see the comments, so I could factor it in. I can paste it in. Um, Right now, there's no notification system for comments, but that same notification system that should tell you about new articles will also be for the comment system. So, like I said, in a couple of months, the comments become much more useful because we could have a conversation right here about Swift Dialogue, and you could say, "Oh, I used this example." Or I use this other tool that leverages Swift Dialogue, and we can kind of share in this place. It's not disconnected. I know we have Discord, but it's sometimes easier to talk about it right on the article, or hey, there's a problem here, or this didn't work for me. It's totally fine to put it here. And for now, I kind of seek out the comments, but once the notification system's in there, it's much more usable. Um, you can favorite articles if you're logged in. The exporter, I'm using a pretty good exporter. I didn't fully configure it, but when you export, you can actually export to PDF, plain text, or Markdown, um, or a contained web file as well. So yes, so that is, I mean, that's really it. This was a couple of months of work, but I think it works good. It I mean, if anyone's curious, maybe a last thing I'll show you is, as an admin, as me, I can see that there's revisions, so I can look at like what changed between edits of this article. If something broke at some point, I can look back. I can move the article or the page from a book to a book if I want. I can make a copy of it. If I edit it, and maybe I'll go into the editor. There's nothing secret in the editor. It has a WYSIWYG editor. It also has a Markdown editor if you prefer to work in Markdown. Um, you can do attachments, you can do tags, you can have templates, which we do. You can have all the comments show up here. So as I'm editing, I can see the comments that people had, and then I could improve the article while reading the comments. So he's really good at at building this. So yeah, that's that. I think that's it then. I'll give you guys a minute if you had any question, anything you want me to show. Um, there we go. I'll delete draft. Go back out, leave. There we go. Okay, good. Good, Sean. Thanks. And Dennis, or I only see the letter F, but either of you, if you had a question, I'm happy to answer in text or if you raise your hand. Otherwise, I think we're pretty good. Okay. So I'm gonna wrap up. Um, if you Oh, I see Dennis writing. So 1 sec for Dennis. And no questions. Okay, good, good, good. Yeah, it is. I'm going to stop recording now.